Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission is pretty simple. We take a whole stack of compelling sources, research papers, expert commentary, deep corporate analysis, and we just boil it all down.
Right, down to the essential, actionable knowledge that you can actually use.
And today we are going deep on sheer technological velocity.
We really are. We're looking at how AI and digital transformation, they're not just tweaking business processes anymore. They are fundamentally redefining everything.
Everything like finance, corporate strategy.
How we educate students,
Yeah.
even how we do basic research. The core structures are changing.
The sources we've pulled together for this are pretty heavy hitters. We've got senior corporate leaders, university deans, expert professors.
And they're all wrestling with the same core question, really. What does this disruption actually look like in 2025?
So our goal for you is to walk away from this with some really clear insights.
We're going to cover a lot of ground, everything from, say, new AI credit models that can grant loans in minutes,
to the really surprising way that human experience at a physical event, like a trade show, is now being quantified.
and even how the good old university essay is being replaced by students creating AI-assisted inventions.
Okay, let's unpack this. And I think we should start at the highest level, the big picture. The macroeconomic reality of AI's impact on productivity.
And, maybe more surprisingly, its impact on, well, the human spirit.
Right.
And Joan Guy, who's the senior partner and chairman of McKinsey's Greater China offices, he really kicks things off with a pretty stark warning.
What's he saying?
He frames AI as this unprecedented game changer, one that is actively widening the productivity gap between organizations that get it and those that, well, don't.
So the difference between the haves and have-nots of AI skills is going to define who wins in business over the next decade.
Exactly. But it's not just a corporate thing, it's personal.
Yeah.
He's basically saying if you don't equip yourself with these tools, you risk being marginalized fast.
And this isn't just theory, is it? He has a real-world example.
Oh, absolutely. Look at McKinsey itself. They've rolled out their own internal Gen AI platform. It's called
Right.
Lily.
Lily.
And Lily is not some little experiment. It's drafting full proposals. It's making complex PowerPoint slides from just a few bullet points.
Wow.
And it even has a specific tool to make sure the final document has the perfect tone of voice for a client.
Mm-hmm.
These are high-level tasks that just a few years ago were the bread and butter of a consultant's job.
The efficiency gain there is obviously massive.
Yeah.
But this is where, in Guy's perspective, gets really interesting because he's also worried.
He is. He's worried about the human cost. If an AI can instantly generate a good enough argument, a pretty solid report, just by recognizing patterns, are we sort of commoditizing conceptual thought itself?
That's his central fear, isn't it? The loss of, what does he call it?
Craftsmanship. He's worried about the erosion of craftsmanship. He makes his analogy, a student who only ever uses spell check eventually forgets how to spell.
Right, you lose the muscle memory.
Exactly. He fears that by taking the difficulty out of the creative process, that long, hard struggle to get a slide deck just right or to build a compelling argument from scratch, we lose something important.
We lose the motivation, the satisfaction that comes from the struggle itself.
The output might be faster, maybe even better on paper, but the character, the perseverance you build through that slow process, just gone.
That is such a powerful critique. If AI makes everything frictionless, does the human effort behind it start to feel worthless?
It's a huge question. And speaking of friction, Jai adds another layer. He says corporate leaders just can't stay neutral on geopolitics anymore. It's impossible.
The world's too tense for that now.
Right. Business decisions and political realities are completely tangled up. He says leaders need what he calls savvy navigation. The easy globalization of the early 2000s is over. Staying quiet isn't a strategy anymore.
That is a tough landscape for any leader. So let's take that idea of AI-driven speed and apply it somewhere really specific, somewhere that's been, frankly, pretty stagnant.
Supply chain finance.
Exactly. Small business finance. Getting a loan used to be so slow. It was all about asset-backed loans, ABL, where you had to pledge your actual physical inventory.
It was awful. A costly, cumbersome process, just riddled with fraud risks.
But that whole model is basically dissolving.
It's dissolving fast. We're moving to financing based on accounts receivable, and the engine for all of this is AI, using real-time data.
Okay, so tell me about Professor Huming Yan and this group, AIFT.
Right, the Laboratory for AI-Powered Financial Technologies, they are right at the forefront of this. Their whole focus is enabling what they call smart credit for small and medium-sized businesses, SMEs, that aren't publicly listed.
And they do this by using data from where?
From the e-commerce giants. Amazon, Shopee, TikTok, They tap into these massive real-time data flows.
That's the revolutionary bit, isn't it? Because before, if you were a small private company, a bank had no public data on you, so no loan.
Or a terrible one with awful rates. So what AFD did was they engineered a patented upgrade to a classic credit risk tool called the KMV model.
The KMV model. Remind me how that works.
Traditionally, it uses a company's stock market data to figure out its odds of going bankrupt. It calculates something called an expected default frequency, or EDF.
Which is completely useless if you're not publicly traded.
Exactly. That's the problem they solved. AIFT's model ignores the stock market. Instead, it plugs in observable, controllable, real-time cash flow data.
Things like what? Sales numbers?
Sales velocity, inventory turnover, even customer reviews, all tracked continuously through the e-commerce platforms. It gives the bank a constantly updated, super accurate picture of the company's real health.
So it's based on behavior, not just old financial statements. That really changes the risk calculation. But wait, if your credit is totally tied to your performance on, say, Amazon, doesn't that create a new kind of dependency? A new vulnerability?
It absolutely does. It introduces new dependencies for sure. But for the small business, the immediate benefit is just access to capital they never could have gotten
Yeah,
before.
and it's already happening.
Yes. BOCHK, Bank of China Hong Kong, launched Account Opening Express for Amazon sellers. They use AIFT's report to basically skip the long know your customer or KYC process. It's all about speed.
Okay, speaking of KYC and regulation, Professor Xiaofan Liu has a really important counterpoint on this, especially with stablecoins. He says a lot of it creates the illusion of KYC.
It does. It's a fascinating argument. He says regulators put all their energy, all their strict compliance on the issuance part, the on-ramp.
The moment you change your real money into a stablecoin.
Exactly, where you have to show your ID. But, he points out, that's not where the crime happens. The real illicit activity, money laundering, fraud, that all happens downstream.
In the secondary markets, the decentralized ones.
Precisely. Once the digital asset is out in the wild, the criminals use really sophisticated tactics. They'll split addresses, they'll chain hop across different blockchains, they use mixers to hide where the money came from.
So focusing all the security on the front door just gives normal users a false sense of security.
And it actually shelters the bad guys who are operating in that unregulated space. The compliance becomes a kind of performance, while the real crime is happening down the alley. We're not solving the system's problem, we're just making it harder for the good actors.
It's just another battle between efficiency and complexity.
And it shows that, full surveillance of an open blockchain is still more of an idea than a reality.
Okay, let's shift gears. From the digital flow of money to the physical flow of people. I found this fascinating. Dr. Farida Kasimpoy at Pico Group, she wanted to solve a basic problem. All the customer data that just vanishes at physical events.
Right, at a trade show or a conference. In the digital world, every click is tracked. In the real world, a person's attention just disappears into the air.
So what was her solution?
Her big idea was that face-to-face events have to be just as measurable as a website. So she developed this algorithm, XQ, to measure return on experience, ROX.
Return on experience. I like that. How does it work?
It's based on 3 key metrics. First is relevance. That's all pre-event data. Who signed up? What's their job title? What are they interested in? Are the right people even in the room?
Okay, that makes sense. What's number 2?
Number 2 is attention. This is the behavioral stuff during the event. Using things like cameras and timestamps to track movement, and this is the key part, dwell time.
Dwell time. So not just that you walked past a booth, but how long you actually stood there.
Exactly. It shows your depth of engagement. You might walk past 100 booths, but if you spend 5 minutes in one interactive zone, that tells the organizer something incredibly valuable.
And the third metric?
A third is interest. This measures the tangible actions. Did you sign up for a test drive? Did you ask for a price quote? Or in a university seminar, did you demonstrate a specific learning outcome? It quantifies the result.
That's a really powerful feedback loop. And her research also touches on a really interesting organizational theory about digital transformation. She calls it the mixed echelon.
Yeah, this challenges that old idea that digital transformation is only driven from the top down by the top management team, or TMT.
So it's not just the CEO's vision.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Especially in consumer markets that live or die on platforms like Douyin or TikTok. She says success requires influence from both the top execs and the younger, tech-savvy employees on the front lines. The mixed echelon.
Why are those younger employees so important to this strategy?
Because they're the best informants, they understand the trends, the shifting social media moods, how users actually behave on these platforms. It's information that TMT often just doesn't have.
So the strategy has to be informed by the people who are actually living in that digital world.
Exactly. The younger echelon sets the pace and the flavor of the engagement. You need them to get that ROX success we were just talking about.
That connects perfectly to our final section, how this is all transforming knowledge itself. Let's start with education. Professor Ron Kwok, he has this vision for universities that moves way beyond the classic pen and paper essay.
Oh, yeah, he wants students creating real world products, viable business proposals, working prototypes, even patentable app ideas. That's the new standard.
And this is all part of City UHK's 3 Eyes philosophy.
Interactive, inspiring, and innovative learning. That's the one.
So if students aren't spending hours writing essays, how are they learning the foundational knowledge?
They get that outside of class now using AI and other digital tools. That frees up all the in person class time for these rich, problem based discussions. The professor isn't a lecturer anymore, they're a facilitator.
It's the flipped classroom model, but supercharged with AI.
It is. And the most innovative part is the course specific chatbot.
Tell me more about that. That sounds game changing.
It's hyper personalized.
Yeah.
Think of an AI teaching assistant with the perfect memory. It's been trained on the syllabus, the lectures, all the readings,
Okay.
but also on the university's entire patent database. So it's a learning partner that helps students refine their ideas for their minimum viable products, their MVPs, and it actually helps them develop ideas that could be genuinely patentable.
So it's directly connecting what you learn in class to real economic output.
Instantly. And this kind of accelerated self directed learning, KWalk, suggests it could mean the end of the standard 4 year degree. Talented students might finish much faster or even do an undergrad and a graduate degree at the same time.
A revolution in academic pacing. And that same idea of hyper efficient knowledge generation is also happening in the research world.
Yes, with Professor Jian Ma and his project, ScholarMate, and SysGPT. That's a GPT for science, technology, and innovation.
And what's the problem it's trying to solve?
The problem of siloed research. There are over 3 million academic papers published every year, and they mostly just sit there, isolated, really hard to connect.
So, how does an AI turn that mountain of disconnected papers into collaborative knowledge?
It does synthesis on a scale a human just can't. It can map the entire global research landscape on a topic in seconds. It can identify the theoretical gaps so researchers can jump straight to the new questions. It can even simulate a peer review.
That's amazing. But what's the direct benefit for a business? How do you get that research out of the ivory tower?
That's the killer app. StGPT can transform a dense academic paper into a concise management recommendation report for a business executive.
Wow.
So it instantly bridges the gap between a university like City UHK and industry giants like Huawei or Tencent. Research becomes immediately actionable. It creates this perfect virtuous cycle.
What a journey. We've really covered a huge amount of ground today.
We really have. From business productivity and guys warning about the AI gap to the revolution in fintech with smart credit and the whole illusion of KYC problem, then measuring physical experience with ROX, and finally completely rebuilding the knowledge ecosystem with these new AI tools.
So, after all that, what does this actually mean for you? If there's one central tension, one thread running through everything we've looked at today, it's this balance.
A balance between incredible technological speed and efficiency on one hand,
And on the other, the preservation of these crucial human qualities. Things like character, perseverance, the kind of deep thought that actually requires effort.
we saw Professor Kwok talking about making degrees faster, and Joe Nye worrying that AI's good enough output could cost us real craftsmanship. But human value is often found in how we respond to difficulty. There's even research, on social media during natural disasters.
What did it find?
It found that highly emotional posts, even posts expressing anger, actually help spread vital information faster than calm, factual updates. It leveraged a core human response to do something essential. So if technology solves the problem of speed, if it removes all the hard, slow work, maybe the only things left to differentiate us are those profound emotional and ethical decisions.
That's the final question, then.
It is. We have to ask, if AI removes the struggle required for creation, what ensures we don't lose the value of the outcome itself?
多谢支持，请帮忙提供 like 及分享，你的冰棒可以领我制作更精彩内容。